A-League football is back, and what a way to start the new season. F3 Derby coming up for the Central Coast Mariners at Polytech Stadium this Sunday, Arvo. Hey guys, my name's Lockie. This is Coastwatch Football, your Mariners fan page, and we are going to talk about this game, preview the game, have a look at the lineups, what we could expect from both sides, specifically, of course, the Mariners. How will we shape up in this game? And score predictions as well. How will we see this game play out in the end? And would love for you guys to join the conversation, so jump in the comments. Let me know your thoughts heading into this first game, because it is great to finally focus on the football. There's been so much going on behind the scenes in the last few weeks, the last few months at Central Coast Mariners, plenty of rumors flying around in regards to what's happening. But now it is time to focus on the football. And I'm sure this squad of players is just so eager now to get out onto the pitch and just show everyone what they can do and prove everyone wrong. You know, the reality is everyone is riding Central Coast Mariners off this season. So, look, the pressure is on, in this round one game specifically, the pressure is on Newcastle Jets here, of course. Big test coming up, the Gents, but they have the pressure now. They won the Australia Cup, and a lot of people are expecting Newcastle to perform in the A-League this season. But Mariners at home here, what a way it would be to start the season with a win against our rivals, Newcastle Jets, and really sort of prove everyone wrong, at least just for the first week of the season. So, let's jump into lineups first of all. We're going to take a look at the opposition. Now, this is how Newcastle Jets shaped up for the Australia Cup final just a few weeks ago. Now, this graphic coming from Google, but watching Newcastle Jets games in the Cup, they, to my eyes at least, appear to be playing more of a 4-3-3. It's quite a fluid formation. You see a lot of those, the midfielders, the attacking players sort of rotating around a little bit, but Costa Grozos generally plays as that defensive midfielder, that deepest lying midfielder. Burgess, whether it's Dobson or Battleado, also playing in those sort of free sort of midfield roles as well. So they are really dangerous in the wide positions. That's something Mariners will have to be wary of. Burton Shello, this youngster on the left wing, has been looking very good in the Australia Cup run for the Jets. So he could be starting on the left. Kota Mizunuma, he could be starting on the right wing, but we know he's capable of playing on either wing. And of course, like, the scary thing for Newcastle Jets is they haven't really had some of their other star players feature all that much. I mean, Eli Adams and Clayton Taylor, I believe, have been out with injury. So those guys, you know, we'll see whether they feature this weekend. Defensively, it's pretty much the same setup for Newcastle Jets. They have signed Irish centre-back Joe Shaughnessy, so maybe he comes in at the back, and they have a new goalkeeper in James Delianov. So a 4-3-3 formation, and when they are on the ball moving forward, they like to move the ball quickly, really get numbers high at the park, and again, utilise that width. Whether it's Burton Shello, Mizunuma as those two wingers, they'll stay really high and wide on the field, really looking to stretch the Mariners defenders and find those spaces. And a key player that we do have to keep an eye on, as we acknowledge the opposition here, is Max Burgess. He is a fantastic footballer and has been unbelievable in his first few games here this season, at least for Newcastle Jets. He's been so key to their success in the Australia Cup. So there's a big task coming up for defensive midfielders, whether it's, you know, Harry Steele, Anthony McCalmont, to really sort of track and, I guess, nullify Max Burgess. Make sure he doesn't have as much influence on this game, because he is the player to watch for Newcastle Jets. But it is indeed time to turn our attention on the Mariners. Here's my predicted 11 that we will see in this game. So Redmen and goals, by the looks of things, the preseason games. Again, the preseason game last weekend against Wellington Phoenix, we learnt a lot from that match, especially in regards to what we could see from the starting 11. So I think it will be fairly similar. Redman and goals. Stormroo, Brad Tapp, Nathan Paul, Moragas in that back four. Now, I will say, in the preseason friendly last weekend, we didn't see Donachie, we didn't see Deasley Harrington. We know Sainsbury's going to be out for some time with injury. But if Donachie, or honestly, if Harrington are fit to play, if those guys are good to go, I would put, you know, whoever's fit to go into that back line and push Brad Tapp up into midfield. I think Brad Tapp, he's capable of playing at centre back, but I would love to see Brad Tapp play in defensive midfield as that six, really break things up in the middle of the park. I think that could be a great duel as well, considering, again, as we said just a moment ago, Max Burgess, the threat that he possesses moving forward in those attacking midfield positions for Newcastle Jets. Brad Tapp would be the perfect guy to really man mark Max Burgess. So, I mean, hopefully Donachie is fit. I'd love to see Donachie come in alongside Nathan Paul, Brad Tapp to play in the number 6 role there, and whether Steele or McCalmont drops out of midfield also. Moraga is expected to play at left back, former Newcastle Jets player. And if Brad Tapp is playing centre back, I think we will see McCalmont still in the middle of the park. They started together against Wellington in the preseason friendly. Would love for Haynes to come in as well, but I think just realistically, going off last week's lineup, I think we will see Steele and McCalmon. And then Muir off the right and DeLima off the left for me. Now, it was an interesting substitution in the first half against Wellington. Theo Harris came off, I think it was after half an hour or so. He was subbed off and DeLima came on. And I like, DeLima showed some good glimpses here and there in the second half against Wellington. So I'd give DeLima a run. I think he's set for a really big season. We saw some good glimpses from him last campaigns. Grabbed a couple goals last season for the A-League team. And I'd love to see him get a real opportunity here once again from the start. And even in a wide position, we know he's versatile, can play anywhere across that front line. But DeLima off the left, I think we could see that. But Theo Harris may well start this game as well. But I'd love to see DeLima get the chance as well. DiPizio and Edmondson will be those front two players. That's my expectation. DiPizio, again, we know he has such fantastic ability. Hopefully we do see that in this game and throughout this season. And Edmondson to start up top. Obviously, we're really limited in the striker positions, but I would go for Edmondson, Nico Duarte. Look, if we're still chasing that goal, Duarte is a good option to bring off the bench as well. So we've got plenty of options on the bench as well. And whether Faisal comes back as well, we know he's been away with the Iraq under-23 side. So we expect him to come back and potentially be involved in this game. We'll wait and see. But if he is fit, I'd love to see him make a real impact in the second half. I think Faisal is another player who's set to really take his game to the next level this season. Arrived halfway through the season last campaign, and he's a player who, again, has just shown really good glimpses. And I remember watching him when he first came through at Perth Glory, like this time a year ago, and again, showed some really promising signs. So Faisal in the wide positions, keep an eye on him this season. Hopefully he is indeed involved in the matchday squad. And I mean, I wouldn't even mind seeing him start Abdul Faisal as well. So certainly some options. I feel like those wide positions are probably the areas of the park that we could see a bit of chopping and changing. Quite a few players to select from there. Even could shift DiPizio out into a wide role as well. So a lot to sort of ponder here for, of course, as we know, Warren Moon stepping in now as the interim coach. So the expectation is that he will be there on the sidelines, I think, for this round one F3 derby. I mean, obviously, he's just arriving on short notice, obviously, with a few days to prepare for this game. So who knows whether it's going to be Josh Rose actually on the sideline running things, and maybe Warren Moon will still be sort of watching for the stands as he prepares to take over this team for the time being. But we may well see Warren Moon come in, and I imagine he won't change things, too drastically. We may well see just a continuation of what we have been seeing lately. And I think this is a formation we will see, a sort of a 4-2-3-1, but it will often look like a 4-4-2. That's what we saw against Wellington with DiPizio and Edmondson, those two sort of central forward players. That's my predicted lineup. We'd love to hear from you guys. Are there any players you would like to see come in to try and make an impact in this game? Certainly some headaches here for Warren Moon if he is indeed making the team selection for this match. But key Jill, keep an eye on Max Burgess. And I mean, it could be Harry Steele or whether it is Brad Tapp maybe doing a man-marking role on Max Burgess, because that will be a key Jill in this game. In terms of expectation for the results, look, from a Mariners point of view, I'm hoping we can get away with a draw in this game. And that's not me trying to be like, I'm not trying not to be negative or anything, but it's just me being realistic about the situation. And I'm sure you guys can understand where I'm coming from. Newcastle Jets, we have to acknowledge they're coming off this Australia Cup triumph. They're high on confidence. They're in really, really good form at the moment, and there's a lot of exciting energy around their team this season. Obviously, it's been a really tough last few weeks for Central Coast Mariners. So the reality is the Central Coast Mariners will be underdogs in this game. So but at home here, with our home support, cheering home the lads, hopefully we can at least get away with a draw. And if we do, if we can get a draw in this game, that would be a good result against the team who literally just won the Australia Cup a couple weeks ago. Okay, I know it's Newcastle Jets. I would never want to predict a win for Newcastle Jets, but have to be realistic about the situation, and a draw would be a positive result. Even a 1-1 draw, 2-2 draw, I think we'll take it and then continue to build from there. So, but hey, very excited just to get the season underway, just to focus back on the football, man, and really excited to see which players really step up for the Mariners this year. But there's our preview for the F3 Derby Round 1. Very excited for this game. We'll be doing a review after the game as well, right here on the channel, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. And of course, we'll be doing match previews throughout the entire season as well. So subscribe. Don't miss the content here. Hit the like button on the way out. Appreciate you guys tuning in. See you in the next one.